Welcome to Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. I'm your host, Sharon. We are talking about the election coverage. We only have a few days left for election coverage, and the mainstream media is basically dooming us to. I really don't know what. Actually, I do know what they're maybe up to, a little bit of what they're up to, and I'm going to share that with you here on this broadcast. But I want to open up here with still updates on Tiffany Cross, and if anybody has any questions, if you've heard about Tiffany Cross, who is a weekend host on MSNBC, she got fired this week abruptly. And here are some videos I'm going to open up here to share with you guys so you can kind of see or get an idea of why, but why she was let go. She was basically standing up for herself. So here is Tucker. He was one of the culprits in this whole saga. He and Megyn Kelly over at Fox News. So Tiffany Cross, obviously, as we can see, did not have the executives standing up for her. So she had to stand up for herself as professionally as she could. But this is what she was responding to.
And just in case you think that we are taking Tiffany Cross out of context and pulling the worst quotes from a out of context segment to make her seem crazy and racist, here's more. Here's Tiffany Cross at MSNBC.
Look, a lot of folks in that Capitol insurrection, some of these folks were white women. And I know we're talking a lot about Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, but I do think that some of the white women who adopted this ideology, is America ready to face the fact that some of those folks look like people they have elevated and put on a pedestal of being untouchable? What do you say about this wing of white women who have been radicalized and are enablers to this very dangerous domestic terrorism movement that we've seen increase quite rapidly?
So it's not just whites, it's white women. Their women are bad too. And women, of course, are the key to reproducing the white race.
Speaking of reproducing, as he said, those women that reproduce people like Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, so that was one of the attacks. I just had to put that in there because of his snippy little attitude. He's always playing the victim, and it's just sickening. But basically, Tiffany was responding to that. Let me see. I'm going to pull up another video. Here's one. Let's see. And they're discussing her departure as well. Also, I noticed Joy Reid. She was the only one of her colleagues that stood up and spoke for her on her behalf. None of her other colleagues, not even the black ones. And what a lot of minority people of color try to get white people to understand, regardless of them having black people in positions of power or like other anchors that look like us in those positions, they're doing that at a cost. They're doing it at the cost of not telling the truth like Tiffany Cross did and like Joy Ann Reid does. So that's why they get attacked. Like, I don't agree with everything Tiffany says. I don't agree with everything Joy Ann Reid says. But the way they give the news, they do it in a way that it's not tiptoeing around what we need to hear. Basically, they are the Band-Aids that get ripped off instead of, you taking the Band-Aid off real soft and it hurts worse. Okay, those other anchors are doing that. Joy Reid, Tiffany Cross, um, Roland Martin. They are the band-aids that you rip them off, and that's what we need to hear, especially now. And they fired her right before midterms as well, so that's adding insult to injury. Here's another. This is from the Young Turks. Let's share their video.
MSNBC has dropped the Tiffany Cross weekend show after a nearly 2-year run and under circumstances that are at the very least interesting. They chose not to renew her contract and for now will be filling her time slot with a series of rotating hosts. Her staff was informed of the decision on Friday morning, but they will apparently remain in place. Now, previous to this show, she'd been the DC bureau chief for BET's networks, and Cross has not, as far as we've seen yet, spoken to media about this. But there has been speculation about why exactly this show, which is apparently quite popular, was doing very well in the ratings. Apparently, let's see, has averages the second most African American viewers of any weekend cable news show, 4.6 million viewers per month. And by the way, the show's audience skews 55% female. So all things that the network is saying that they're looking for and appear to have gotten, and yet she's now out. So there are a couple of different potential explanations about why exactly this happened. Some are saying that her relationship with the network was becoming frayed, in part because executives were growing concerned about her willingness to address statements made by cable news hosts on other networks and indulging in commentary executives felt did not meet the standards of MSNBC or NBC News. And so let's jump to the first of that. So there's two different instances of this that we can point to. Perhaps there are others. After Megyn Kelly attacked her earlier this month and called her the most racist person on television, Cross called Kelly the blackface expert, referencing past commentary by Megyn Kelly about blackface costumes and that sort of thing. She later apologized to Megyn Kelly in that particular case. There was also an incident that you might remember from just a week or two ago with Tucker Carlson, where Tucker Carlson accused her and MSNBC of trying to incite a race war against white people, and in particular, threatening white women, who are, in his words, of course, the key to reproducing the white race. Okay. Yes, that is a quote that an anchor said on a show. He said that she's trying to foment white genocide. She's trying to replay Rwanda's 1994 ethnic cleansing. But in this case, it would be white people who were wiped out. And so, because Megyn Kelly called her a racist, then she responded, and Tucker Carlson said she's trying to get hundreds of millions of white people to be killed. She's got to go, I suppose. Now, in the last 24 hours, she did also have some commentary about Ron DeSantis and Florida. That is interesting. I can't actually say some of these words, but it referenced Florida as being the, I'm going to say, penis of America, and that it should be castrated. And so that's controversial. Now, she means it as a metaphor. She doesn't actually want to cut off Bugs Bunny, Florida, so that it drifts off into the ocean or anything. But those might be some of the reasons that she...
We're hiring, just so you know. We'll be talking to Tiffany soon. If she's interested. Because, look, I don't know that we're going to particularly hire her. We'll have a conversation about it. But I'm interested in aggressive hosts. I'm not MSNBC who thinks you should be a doormat for Fox News and allows Tucker Carlson to fire your host. What a loser, man.
Right?
Tucker Carlson attacked her.
And she
said something back, and you fired her? That's surrender to racist, fascist Tucker Carlson.
Okay.
What a pathetic thing to do.
MSNBC has
So I was just talking and my mic was off. I just clicked that off. But basically, so what I was saying was, so Tucker Carlson, what he said, Tucker Carlson is dictating to MSNBC. He has nothing to do with that network. He has nothing to do with the hiring and firing of Tiffany Cross. He and Megyn Kelly, they were bullying her and she responded like she should have, because as we could see, MSNBC did not have her back. And the fact that Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly have said worse racist things, when white people call black people racist, that's basically like a gaslighting tactic. Black people, people of color, cannot be racist. Racism comes with an element of power, which Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly obviously have with the color of their skin. We don't have the power. We could be prejudiced. Black and brown people could be prejudiced, yes. But racism is a tactic that these white supremacists are using to try to shut down any arguments or anything that we have to say to counter their racism, their actual racism. Here's another, this is an example of why she was too black probably for the channel. But I mean, she stayed on the air for like 3 years because she did a good job. This was when Mango Mussolini was in office, and I think she was at a town hall for this. But this is really worth watching. Just this short clip. I don't know where you can find the full clip, but just this bit here is worth watching.
It's really clear that the Trump campaign is in full mode because he's fallen short on some of the promises that he made in 2016 to help perpetuate this false idea that people voted for him because of economic anxiety. And, given this administration's kind of faulty relationship with the truth, why should anybody believe what you or any representative of this administration says when most of your economic solutions seem more based on messaging and attacking what Jenna calls the mainstream media and calling facts truth or untruth?
Math doesn't lie.
So
yeah, but the Trump administration does frequently. I think instead of spitting in my face and trying to tell me it's raining, you need to acknowledge that you ride with the racist president. When you talk about immigration and you talk about, that his policies are not racist, I think perhaps the only immigrant that Donald Trump may like is a former model birther who, has a fake college degree. And given that, she came in this country because she had the quote unquote Einstein visa. I'm curious if you or Jenna can answer. Ridiculous. So why are we trying to? Let me make my point. So this is part of the problem. And listen, it's really not like trying to get applause lines. I mean, listen, my people who look like me built this country. Okay, I love this country, and it just says something to me that after all that America has done to my ancestors, I can stand here today and be a bigger patriot than you or you because this president is an existential threat to America. He has lauded praise on foreign adversaries like Vladimir Putin. He waxes poetic about love letters he writes with Kim Jong-un. And he invited the Taliban to Camp David a week before 9/11. In what world do we exist that we don't feel like we're living on a Saturday Night Live sketch 24 hours a day, that seemingly reasonable people become unreasonable? But
that is the kind of journalism we need, especially at this moment with this election. We are facing down fascists because the country is running on two wheels. We're running. It's like one barely functioning party, and the other party is just all in on fascism. And we needed her voice, especially during midterms. So now that we don't have anyone that we could depend on, not even NPR, and I'm very sad about having to say that because I grew up on NPR. That was like a trusted form of news up until 2016. Everything basically got turned upside down in 2016 when Idiot in Chief got installed in our White House. And it's the anchors and the hosts that are covering, especially at this moment, covering the election. They're covering it like vetting, like basically they have turned it. John King on CNN, Steve Kornacki on MSNBC. They treat it like we're all in a betting hall. And I'm going to pull up this article just so you can see it, and I will put a link at the end of the show. I'll put a link in the description box so you can read this article. But this article will probably help make some sense as to why it seems like we're in a perpetual gambling scenario. So betting on elections can tell us a lot. Why is it mostly illegal? The only such market of any size in the United States is on the verge of being shut down, even though studies suggest that such markets may predict elections better than the polls do. So the polls, the way they're trying to show us the polls is like a racehorse, like a horse races. And I'm not going to read this whole article, but there was a paragraph that caught my eye. I'm going to post the link though, so you guys can read the whole article. It's from the New Yorker, and this paragraph right here. But there was a small non-commercial exception to this rule. The University of Iowa, with permission from the CFTC, has overseen the Iowa electronic markets, which accepts trades from students and faculty on participating campuses since 1993. Victoria University proposed expanding on the Iowa model by opening its new exchange to the public, conducting limited advertising and allowing people to bet as much as $850 on any given contract offered on the exchange, an increase from the Iowa project's limit of $500. The CFTC replied to the proposal with a so-called no-action letter, indicating that an academic exercise demonstrating the information gathering and predictive capabilities of markets would be allowed so long as Victoria didn't profit from it. Victoria outsourced management of the new online exchange to Aristotle. The company dubbed it Predicted. Predicted now has around 80,000 active users. Ahead of the 2020 elections, nearly $150 million flowed through its markets. It has shared market data with dozens of researchers around the world, and sometimes created markets at the request of scholars. But behind the scenes, Aristotle has been at odds with regulators over its desire to keep expanding. The CFTC has held that election markets are akin to gambling and that they are against the public interest because traders might be tempted to base voting decisions on which candidate will make them more money. One might argue that voters do this already. Phillips insists that the exchange has positive civic effects, pointing for comparison to the excessive engagement of sports gamblers who, according to one study, watch about twice as many games as non-bettors do. If it takes people having a little bit of skin in the game who don't normally pay attention to something, and now they're reading the newspaper more or focusing more on absorbing and critically analyzing what they're seeing on TV, that's great, he told me. Critics, of course, say that this amounts to treating politics as a game. One dedicated predicted user, Trevor Volkman, a 34-year-old public defender in New York, told me that his pastime has made him a better informed citizen. Volkman, who grew up in Iowa, has always been interested in politics, but researching trades has made him fluent in Senate quota rules and other political minutiae, he said. In 2019, Phillips wrote to the CFTC arguing that election markets collect information for the benefit of both participants and non-participants, and pleading for regulators not only to define the rules of the road, but also to allow more than small-scale academic initiatives. He never received a response. Instead, this past August, the CFTC abruptly withdrew its no-action letter announcing that Victoria had violated the agreement's terms. The commission didn't specify which terms had been violated. Bloomberg, citing multiple anonymous sources, reported that CFTC staff believed that the agency had allowed Predicted to stray too far from the original remit of being a small-scale market designed to facilitate academic research. So basically, like it said up here, they have created basically, so when you watch Steve Kornacki and John King on CNN and their election coverage, this is what they're doing. So obviously they've got the higher ups at their news stations. They got called into meetings and given their orders. That's why they're covering our elections like this. This is alarming. So like I said, I'll post the link to that. In the meantime, since we really can't trust them and their election coverage, go to, and I'll follow him as well. Try to find as many like independent type, not super mainstream news organizations that you can and support them. I follow, let me see, I want to pull this up for y'all. Where is it? Okay, Roland Martin. He's the owner of Black Star Network. He used to be on CNN. He's another example of a black voice that was silenced because they didn't like what he had to say. But he started his own media company, and he's peer supported as well. He gets donations that just like my media company, which he has been in the game like many more years than I have. He's actually the inspiration for me to start my media company that is BIPOC centered because of all of the white networks and white entertainment companies. I'm trying to build a company that is centered around marginalized voices, BIPOC people who are silenced, like Tiffany Cross and Roland Martin and Angela Rye and Soledad O'Brien and probably soon to be Joyanne Reed, because they feel like that's too much power for them and they want to shut it down and silence us. Well, support Roland Martin. Go to his website. He will be doing in the election coverage through Tuesday because we got 2 more days. Today's the 6th, yeah. So yeah, he'll be doing the election coverage. So he's entertaining as well. So follow him. He's also an alpha. My father was an alpha. So yes, follow him for the election coverage because I don't think we're going to get see any needed commentary on MSNBC and CNN. So they have been bought out by right-wing billionaires, and they are in it for their bottom line, for tax cuts. They don't want to pay taxes. So that's why they have rallied around the Republicans, because they want to hoard more money. So follow Roland Martin. Also, I will be doing another show. I'll be doing short podcasts in between as well. But he's got a bigger platform, and he's, like I said, he's more experienced. But I'm also peer supported. So if you would like to support me in building my media company, you can go to my website, and I'll have the link in the description box at the end of this broadcast, this show. And thank you for listening. I will see you guys tomorrow and Tuesday. My birthday is actually on Monday. Wait, my birthday is, yes. My birthday is on Monday. So, but I'm still going to do a show. And thank you for listening. And we will see you. My birthday present. Oh, call to action and my birthday present. Call to action: vote, 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 vote for your best interest. Vote for who you think is best. That will treat us as in our human rights and our civil rights like non-fascist. That's what I want for my birthday. I want you guys to go vote. And I want to wake up in a democracy. I want to wake up in a democracy for my birthday. Please, I'm begging you guys, because people who look like me are not going to fare well under authoritarian regime. So that's all for now. And I will see you guys tomorrow and Wednesday.
We'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to leave feedback, a comment, or ask a question, leave us a voicemail at 615-447-8290. Thank you. City Scene Productions / Media Company and Seen and Heard podcast are peer supported. All support is greatly appreciated, whether it is equipment or financial. Every little bit helps. Every contribution, however big or small, powers our programming, staff and creators, and sustains our future. Any amount you are able to give to help support our journey and progress will be greatly appreciated. If you would like more info, please go to our contact page to leave a message, and one of the members of our team will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.